pause the recording for now since.
Up the pads is a
Hi, Angela.
tough area. I mean, if the snow's really
Dana,
good,
hello.
good, but otherwise.
Right, it's pretty icy and
Yeah.
shrubs.
I think she's around.
You never shrubs.
Okay, all good.
And yeah, I think we're good.
Thanks,
We'll find
All
out.
right.
I'm just waiting for,
Lose interest.
Yeah.
'Cause
so Ken, you gonna stay on mute?
I'm updating codes here. He's one as is.
What was that? I'm sorry.
Oh, there you go. I hear you now.
Yeah,
Hi, it's Deb.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay on mute until I have something to say.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Just want to make sure you're there. Hi, Dana.
Hello,
Oh,
do you hear me?
I can.
Yes.
Okay,
right.
I'm gonna go on mute also.
Okay, all right. Okay, anytime you're ready.
Okay, I would like to call to order this meeting of the Ridgway Sustainability Advisory Board. Deb, will you please take roll call?
Sure. Angela,
Here.
Vicky,
Here.
Dana,
Here,
Dave,
Here,
Ken,
Here,
Joyce and JT will not be here this evening. Okay, so we had on this agenda, Kim Wheels was set to present the differences between the 2018 and the 2021 IECC. Unfortunately, she called me this afternoon and she is not going to be able to do that today. She's got family in town, and so we can do one of two things. We can try to kind of go through it ourselves, or we can table this meeting and have her come at a later meeting. So whatever you guys would like to do.
Not table the meeting, table the agenda
The
item.
agenda item, yeah. Did I say meeting? Yeah, no, let's do the meeting. So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to try to go through some of this stuff? For me, it's, I went through it briefly, and as I sent stuff in the packet, you can see that this first page is pretty generic. It just goes over like the highlights of what it is. And then I also included some more detailed information on the different areas. This is probably something Dave and Ken can speak to more than I can. So I don't know whether either one of you have had a chance to look at this, but if you would rather wait and have Kim get on Zoom and go through it a little more in detail. She did inform me, and I'm just going to pull this up, that this is what she was going to use as a guide, and this is the NEEP. Now I know that it says Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, but she said that their zone and their is similar to ours. So this was something that they had put together to go over overview of the changes. So you can see, like in the residential code right there in the center, the 2018 wall, ceiling, slab insulation versus the 2021. So when I went through this originally, because I had found this document as well, I found a little bit of a difference in the slab.
could you send us a copy? Of
That is actually on the, it's on the Google Drive. I put it on
Okay.
there this afternoon, but yeah. So it's all on the Google Drive. And you'll see that at the bottom, it's labeled 2018 versus 2019 IECC. And all of these documents are located there. So, you know, these are kind of the general things that are the differences in the 2018 to 2021. And we can go through this and see what you think. But for me, as a non-building person, I have not gone through this in detail. So it's really, if you guys want to look at it, we can get Kim in here again, or we can go through it now, whatever you'd like.
Deb, I looked at it and I went through the residential section pretty slowly and then breezed through the commercial section. And my take is that I think would be really beneficial to have Kim's input on this, because I'm sure she knows every line of code and detail. It'd be really beneficial for us to have her input on this.
And yeah, I understand that for sure.
I would agree with
Okay.
Kenny, that'd be my preference.
Okay. So about everyone else? Okay.
Yeah, agree. I wonder in that discussion, because I'm still, I mean, I went through it also line by line, although being not a building person, it's a lot, and it's a lot to understand. It would be helpful if Preston's able to join us next meeting. And the questions are, you know, can the town do this, and how quickly can the town do this? And, you know, we maybe our building code inspector and or Preston to kind of advise us, you know, what does this look like? You know, to them?
Well, I think that with the discussion that happened at the last meeting, it was determined, and Preston had stated that it was very feasible for the town to do this this code update to the 2021 by the fall of this year. That was the plan.
I saw that in the minutes, and I like that, although I'm not sure he had actually gone through all of this, but maybe he had.
All of this that we're looking at
Yeah.
here. He hasn't, but he has said that he did not see anything that looked like it was a major problem, as far as no major changes.
Okay,
The changes were not something that was going to be really drastic.
okay, so he's looked through it and he
Yeah,
feels,
he
okay,
knows
good.
briefly what it is. I mean, whether he's looked at this particular document, I don't know.
No, but
But
if he
yeah,
understands what
I
the
know he's been in
differences are.
contact with Kim about it,
Mhm.
so they've had discussions.
Good,
So I think he, and I talked with him last week about it, and he, because I wanted to make sure that I could state to you guys that
Right.
the fall of 2023.
right,
Yeah.
good,
Yeah. Now, I know that there was a little bit of talk about maybe trying to do the 2024 as well, but that's not going to happen. I talked with Kim today, and she said that that's not going to be ready this year for us to adopt. So, but you know, we'll do the energy code and the 2018 to 2021 IECC.
good.
That's a pretty important transition.
Can I make a comment here?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
My impression is that the town doesn't have any choice but to comply with this.
That's correct.
It's required. So I don't know why we're worried about if the town can do this. The town has to do this.
Yes, we don't have to do it though until 2024, I believe.
Great,
Yeah, we're not required to adopt it until 2024, but we're wanting to adopt it early. And I'm guessing that you've all had this conversation many times about trying to get this thing going as soon as possible.
I agree. So I'm going to read through it again, but my reading was that if the town makes any changes to their municipal code, their building code, before a certain date, then they are required, or after a certain date, then they're required to adopt this immediately.
Right, exactly. So we're trying to stay ahead of the game here. If we get this thing adopted this year, then we'll be good. We'll be in compliance. So, and as far as your question about the 2024, my understanding is that does not have as much of an impact on the energy code. So it's more of other things. So, and I think we're going to have several years to get that into place. But this is the piece that's going to really allow municipalities to really start working with getting these codes, the new buildings, as new buildings start to come up, residential and commercial, to get them in compliance with some pretty awesome energy.
And when I skimmed through it, it sounded like remodels are gonna have to comply with some of that too.
Yeah, it's my understanding that pretty much anything that is done, any sort of building remodels additions, whatever it is, yeah. So, so it's a consensus that you guys would like to have Kim in here. I can try to get her in here in the next meeting.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Okay. And I'm sure that'll work for her. Yeah, I was a little, like, wow, that's our one agenda item. Okay, so I just wanted to go over a couple of things before we, get going, into other things here. I did have a conversation with Kim today, and she said that, the Mountain Towns 2030 has agreed to let us participate as a region. So council will be presented with this at the next meeting, which is the 8th, I think it's next Tuesday or next Wednesday, to ask them, do they want to participate as a region or do they want to participate as an individual? So the individual would be the $2,500, but in speaking with Preston and Kim, it might be something we want to do because then we have access to all the documents. We have webinars and all that stuff as, and I believe it's if we go as a region, it'll be eco partners that will have all that access, and they will be basically our representatives. So we'll see what council says next week. But that's kind of where we're at with that. So
there was a question at the last time about that access, and nobody knew the answer. And so until we know, like, I mean, if it's just a password thing, nobody knew the answer as to how many people could share that access. So it seems like before we decide to do something, we should know if Eco Action could share that with us so we all have access to it, or if it's a limited number of people. Does that make sense, Deb?
yeah, and I think that's the reason that Preston is looking at whether we really want to go regional or whether we want to go as an individual participant, so that we do have more access.
Yeah, I appreciate him looking at that. At the Sneffels Energy Board, the fellow who presented from Mountain Town said, we want everybody to join, and if this amount of money is too much, tell us what the right amount is. So they are willing
And
for
they
us
did-
to join for $500.
Yeah, and they did ask that if we do it as a region, that if all of us together could come up to the $2,500,
Right.
which is,
But if we could do
Yeah.
it separately,
yeah.
we'll give 500, you give 500, and we
Well-
patch together, but we then have better access.
But that's, if we go individually, the town of Ridgway would be responsible for the whole 2,500.
No, that's not what was stated at the Sneffels Energy Board. That,
Really?
yeah, the
Okay.
fella
Oh,
said
that's good to know.
that
Okay,
you don't have to pay this much if you can't afford it.
okay. Well, that's
So-
good. Well, that might be a reason to really look at being an individual entity involved.
For sure.
Bunch, yeah.
I also understood we don't have a budget.
We don't, but there are items that are in the budget for things that come up like this. So that's something council's gonna have to
Right.
determine. And I know Preston is taking that to them next week.
Great.
So we should have an answer next week,
Good.
okay? Anybody have any questions on that? I'm not sure where to look on this. Any questions? No one? Okay. The next thing is next meeting. I do have Troy Russ with Crested Butte coming in to talk, well, not coming in, he's going to do it via Zoom, but he's going to talk to us about their let's get that again, their electrification process. So basically, he and one other person in Crested Butte spearhead this task. And yeah, so I think that'll be really interesting. And so yeah, he was, and thank you, Dana, for getting his name out. I talked with him and he was more than happy to do it.
Great.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go through a couple things and then we'll get into, and then, I just want to let you know, I put a climate action plan. I got an update on the climate action plan. I put it in the Google Drive. It's now the final one. So really, after looking at it, some of the key things that they did is they updated each jurisdiction's special action list. So, you know, in the back of that action plan, there was, each town had a list of what they wanted to accomplish. Well, each town has modified that. So that is in the Google Drive. If you guys want to check it out and see what those new things are. There are some other things in there, but I thought it was pretty interesting because it's more of, this is what we're gonna do, not someday we'd like to do this, you know? So thought that was kind of good.
Yeah.
And then Terry is not here tonight, but he wanted me to share with you something that is going on at San Miguel Power. I guess they're working on an interactive graphic that they'll place on their webpage. It'll feature cutaways of an all-electric house that is loaded with high-efficiency beneficial electrical appliances, including an e-bike, EV, heat pumps, stove tops, fridge, smart thermostat, solar and battery system, etc. Each item will have a link directing the user to learn more about them and indicating that SMPA rebate associated with them. I think that's pretty cool that they're doing that. Including our green medallion rebate, which provides up to $750 in the house is built, if the house is built all electric. If fully outfitted with these appliances and EV and driveway and the e-bike in the garage and all electric, a new construction home may qualify for more than $6,000 in incentives. So I told him that I would share that with you guys. So they're working on some pretty neat stuff. Okay. So on the agenda tonight, we have, let's see here, we just have this one item about education. And then also Vicki has asked to add a couple of things to the agenda as well. So, and part of that relates to item number 2, which is enhancing education and regional sustainability efforts. So she has asked that, that we create action steps and timelines to get some momentum on your goals. And to create educational workshops for builders, bring in specialists, so forth. Look at Crested Butte, which we will be looking at Crested Butte. So what I'm getting from this, Vicki, if I'm not mistaken, is you'd like to see the goals that you guys have in the strategic plan, your goals overall, kind of set a guideline, a list of those goals and the timelines in which you'd like to accomplish those.
It's part of it. What I was hoping, since the agenda was so minimal tonight, I thought we'd have time to have like a sort of an open-ended discussion about maybe as a group tonight, we could create some like goals and timelines, but part of what I asked for too was to, for us to talk about forming 2 subcommittees within this group to work on, I would send it to you. It's on have one subgroup work on what we're going to present to town council and just get moving forward with that, and have the other subcommittee work on education projects for local builders,
Okay.
contractors, and in that umbrella meant like not that we're the educators, that we would like find the resources like this guy Troy, people that already know what they're doing, to come in and like just to be the organizers of the workshops.
Okay, that sounds great. So just to let you know, government and their red tape is really something that you have to think about. So if you have 2 people, 2 committee members or board members who want to get together and do this, then that's great. If you have 3 or more, then it has to be a public meeting, it has to be noticed, it has to be open to the public, it has to be recorded, it has all these other things. So if you want to create the subcommittees in small little groups, that's fine. But if there's more than 3, then that's that's a
than
lot of
two.
work, or more than two, it's a lot of work.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so it's,
maybe as a group tonight, we can figure out if we want to do that or not.
so, let's talk about that, and then let's talk about, you know, what that looks like. So you're thinking part of that is education? Okay, so what are your thoughts? What are you guys thinking on this? Anyone?
I got some notes and things I thought about it today, and it's just kind of rambling, but stuff that we need to be thinking about, I think, is we need to use the town website. We already have a page for our committee, and I think we can use that to put some links on for some of the things that we're working on. For example, the model electric plan that's being proposed at the state level, model electric and solar ready codes. These are going to be mandatory, and I think education will help, but it's not like we have to win over, you know, hearts and minds. This is stuff that's going to be the law, and so I think providing information is really important to that end.
Hey, Kenny,
Yeah,
can I just interrupt you here because the question was, if I understand it, there was Vicky wanted us to consider breaking into subgroups, into committees to work on a couple of different topics is what we're talking about right now. And Deb said that comes with kind of like government red tape where we have to have.
I heard all that.
Oh, you did? So my understanding was, the question was if we were going to break into subgroups, not necessarily what we thought we should be working on. Is that, am I right there, Deb? And
Yeah, I mean, I think that what Kenny is suggesting is the education part of it. But I think what my question was do you guys, are you interested in breaking up into groups of two to each have a task on what, whatever the topic is, whether it be education, whether it be whatever you guys decide? Is that something that you all want to look at?
could you explain again exactly what that entails in terms of governmental hygiene that we have to do?
If you do two people, you can just get together and do it.
Okay, we don't have to have minutes and publish them and all that.
You don't have to do that, but if there are three of you, then there has to be agendas, there has to be, it has to get posted, it has to be recorded, it's gotta be put on the website and so forth. So if you wanna get together, if you wanna pair off, great. You know, if.
So I have a couple of questions related to that. One is, do we need to make a presentation to the town council at this point, or do we feel like the town council is moving forward? I don't get the idea the town council is going to do anything new on any of this until they're through with their current moratorium and everything there. So I'm not sure that we would be impacting them. As far as the education piece goes, I wonder if we could break that into 3 or 4 different sections, and we could pair off, and 2 of us could take, you know, the maybe rebates, and 2 could take the home heating systems or how to get information to consumers, and 2 could take, you know, what are we going to do to present to contractors, or, you know, maybe there's some way that we could subdivide the education piece and have us come back with kind of, you know, in our small groups, what we see as the key, most valuable pieces. I'm a little concerned if we put out so much on the website like we have now, there's just so much there, you get lost in it.
Mhm.
You know, we need some way to win
Really?
as what are the key things that we want people to look at and read? And maybe by, picking an area and saying, okay, here's the key 1 or 2 pages that we want people to be able to focus on in this area, we could put something useful together,
Yeah, user friendly.
Okay, wait a minute. All right. I got interrupted. I thought we were just having this kind of a discussion about, our thoughts on how all this should work. And Vicky made her comment about subbing into committees, and that's great. But let me go back to the website. Our page on the website has virtually nothing on it. It has two meetings and the charge from the town council, which is all of maybe 8 lines of text. So I think there's plenty of room on our page on the town website for information. And I think that's an obvious place to start because it's free and we have access to it. And I don't get why there's pushback on that, because I think we all talked about using the website as an outlet for information. I think putting just simple links. So this is what we're working on. I think people should know that we're working on this. There's no way for them to find out otherwise, other than we buy advertising in the plain dealer. And I think it's important to have this information public. It should be public because we're a public entity.
I don't think that anybody is arguing that, Ken. I think that what I gathered from what Dave was saying is this just determining what it is we want to put out there. Sure, you guys can put things on there, but what specifically do you want to have? How you want to present it? Is it just the website? Angela, you have something to say?
Yes, thank you. I wonder if Dave's referring to our Google Drive, which is a bit overwhelming with it's great, but it's like, if I was the public and I was presented with something like our Google Drive, I wouldn't even bother clicking anything because there's too much on there.
Right.
But yes, I agree 100%, Kenny, that our website, and we've talked about that, and I'm in full favor of that, but it does have to be narrowed down to the key elements that we want to share.
Yeah, we almost need some process to decide what are those key elements, and because we can't have carte blanche for any of us to hang something out there. It's just going to turn into our Google Drive, which is overwhelming.
Well, I think that's a good place to start tonight is what do we think the key elements of what we're working on, excuse me, are. And from my perspective, I think it's the summary of HB 22-1362 would be a good link to have on there and say that this is a state, a law that's being passed at the state level, and then the model electric, solar electric ready and solar ready code. A link to that. This is something else that's coming down the pike and people should know about. And those are the 2 big ones as far as I'm concerned. And maybe add the EAP thing, but that's pretty lengthy. People would get lost in that. But I think these other 2 things are laws that are coming down the pike. And I think those are the 2, head and shoulders above everything else that we're doing.
I think it would also be great to have a model of a town's building codes that have gone through a process to get there already. So if you were a builder, you might look at something like that and have an idea of what that might look like in future years. Hopefully sooner than later.
The information that we get from Troy next meeting might be very helpful in that, and their willingness to share that with us. Municipalities are very generous with their things. They don't like to create the wheel any more than we do, so they do tend to be willing to share things. So
Yeah, I'd love us to see, to see out there a document, and it's going to take some work, which would be a kind of a how-to and advantages of electrification, because, you know, yes, the codes are going to come down and we'll make buildings electric ready, but what we really want people to do is electrify. We want them to go ahead and install heat pumps and electric ranges and whatnot. And there's a good bit of data out there on advantages of doing that, costs and whatnot. But I think rather than just throw a bunch of data at people, trying to synthesize that in some way, provide some links, but provide something that in a page or two, people could really get an idea of, does this make sense? I mean, I have people calling me in Ridgway all the time, I want to get rid of my gas. How do I do it? I think that's something people would really like to know.
What's in it for me, kind of.
Yeah, but
So it sounds to me like that, not only providing the documents of the actual, bills that are coming out, on the website, but also, providing some, I don't want to say layman, but some terms that people can understand who don't know how to decipher these laws, and even sometimes the summaries. I mean, the summaries are usually pretty good, but there's a lot of question. And people who are not used to reading that kind of language might want to know how to, the simple version of that. What does it mean?
Well,
So-
that's what I'm sorry, Deb, that's what I was suggesting is the summary of the bill, because I'm with Vicky. She made a comment at the last meeting that the bills are just too long to read and it's legalese.
Yeah.
And it's just, people will start snoring. And so I think the summaries are really important to have. And also what Dave suggested is some tips and how-tos and things like that would be really great to do.
So how do you see that coming about? The how-tos and the tips? Angela?
We talked at our very first couple of meetings about not reinventing the wheel, that the work that other organizations have done. So a lot of that is identifying organizations that are already doing this and then providing a link rather than rewriting what's already been done, like we talked about pointing people to resources for rebates that are available. And I mean, it'd be really easy to have a link to the San Miguel Power Association rebates. And then if we have, we can get the federal rebates. I don't know that those are all available yet. Having links to that, I think having subheaders of the different things that we want on our website will be a good way to organize them. And then, the how-to, it's just going to be a matter of pulling together the best practices that we can find, and those might need to be changed out from time to time as things get changed. But I think it's just a matter of like doing the homework and finding the resources that are already out there and providing them. I don't feel like we have to rewrite what's already been done. It's just finding them and linking them or getting the PDF on our website. And I just also wanted to say, I think that our town master plan and strategic plan should be at the top of our sustainability page. So I know it's in other places in the website, but I think that's an important thing that people know. We have a compass that kind of guides us with the overall town plan.
I like that.
So,
My hand is raised.
I'm sorry, Dana.
So I like the idea of dividing up into subgroups, and I'm thinking it could be something like I'm just seeing 4 that I wrote down. One would be community, one would be developers, one would be homeowners, and then maybe the fourth would be town government, and we could focus and do our, whatever A, B, C, and D under developers, under the community. SMPA could be community, so that we'd have the headings and then the subheadings if we want to divide into groups to focus on. Anyway, this is what I see: community, developers, homeowners, and maybe town government. That's what I see.
Well, I think I think you guys need to decide how you want to move forward with this. These all sound like great ideas and great things to look at and to get going on and get on the website. It's just how it's all going to get pulled together. Who's going to be doing that? Who's going to take over this and who's going to take over that and so forth. So it's kind of what's the structure of it, and then once
Which is what we're talking about.
So I'm just saying that that's what we need to figure out now is who's going to be taking over these things, if that's how you want to move forward.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Dana, that's an interesting way to do it. Another potential way would be like topics like one would be rebates, and there you'd be pulling in SMPA and federal and state. Another would be electrification, and then you'd be pulling in different things in the home to electrify, or home electrification, if you will. So focusing on topics that people will go out looking for answers to, I guess, is what I'm looking at there. But I mean, I do think something for the developers would be good, although I'm not sure the timeline on when we make that push.
Oh my God.
I'm concerned about getting ahead of the town with the developers, but
Well, with the developers, are you meaning like resources for them? Because like what Kenny just said, these things are going to be optional.
right, no question. But the question is, when do we put stuff out there as if this has already happened? As if, because it is an option. The town can delay until 2025 in doing this. This is not if we change our code, then we will have to do this. But there's not it's got to pass the town before, it's really adopted and we move forward with that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I don't want to arm our opposition out there and get people riled up. I don't know. Just
Our opposition.
well, I think there will be people pushing back and saying, "Why are we doing this now? Can we wait?" Yeah.
Well, I think sticking with, putting the things out there that we're going to happen, the bills that we know are going to happen, and how that's going to affect. That's
Great.
Yeah.
We all agree on that. Yeah.
You have any?
Well, my experience on town council, there's always going to be opposition, no matter what
there is.
decisions are made. So that's kind of a given for sure. But just, I guess, it's the amount. I guess what matters is how much opposition, because it's definitely going to happen. Yes, it's got to be.
Yes, Angela?
Yes, there will be opposition, but we have to move forward, and we're recommending for the town to do. And you can't please all the people. There will be naysayers. But fortunately, we have the state of Colorado behind us that is moving in this direction. So it is going to happen. And I think for our website, I really like the ideas, and I'm not sure if I like Dana's or Dave's approach to the headers, the subdivisions. I think I need to think a little bit more about that, or hear more from them into those choices. But I think our webpage needs a bit of an explanation as to what our mission is as a advisory board to the town council and what our goals are, in order, instead of it just being a place that has a bunch of links, I think it should have like a statement of intent, like what we're trying to do and, you know, what our goals this year are, and that these goals will evolve over time. I just feel like it would be a pretty heartless page to just have a bunch of links and documents.
Good.
Kenny, did you have something?
The webpage does have goals and, well, vague, they're for sure they're vague, but there is some a narrative there of what our job is, so to speak. So it's not just a naked page. I'm looking at it right now. I think, but I agree with Angela that, you know, it shouldn't be just a bunch of links. There should be a narrative to go with it, just so people get interested in what we're doing.
So moving forward with it, are you guys wanting to put together a list of what specific items you want on this web page, how you want it laid out, and then we can kind of manipulate it to make it interesting because really, I mean, it's kind of, you know, you want people to want to click on the link, or want to know, you know, what this is going to, you know, do for me. What's it going to do for me as a resident or a homeowner, or whatever the case is, or a builder or whatever. So, I mean, these all sound like great ideas. At this point, I think maybe just determining, okay, what's next? What do you want to do? Do you want to start working on, you know, I can absolutely get the bills summaries together, get that going. You know, maybe someone would want to take on, there was somebody had mentioned about tips and how-tos, and I mean, we can just start compiling things and get moving on it. I mean, I think that's the thing that I've heard several times just in this meeting, and I've heard from some of you, is that we need to start moving forward. Everybody's so excited about everything that's going on, and I think it's awesome that everybody's so passionate about what this committee is tasked at doing. That now let's see if we can really start actually doing these things. Hopefully that was
Totally agree. And I don't know, do we need to like give ourselves timelines, or do we need to just like start doing it? Either one works
I
for me.
think that, you know, really look at the page, look at the sustainability page and see what you think would enhance it, what we could do to make it interesting that somebody's going to want to look at. And then we really start need to just pull some stuff together, pull the things that the rebate stuff, pull the electrification, contact other municipalities, see what they've got, what they've done. I mean, there's quite a bit of work involved. Yes, Angela.
A picture would be a really good way to start, or a video. But how will it look for the links? So would it look like if a header was, say, community or electrification, would it take the appearance like the meetings do, and then it would be a pull down? Or like, do you know what, like?
Well, that would be up to you guys. What do you want it to be like? I mean, it's really kind of,
It's not confined to the kind of structure of the rest of the pages?
I don't think so. I mean, I can look into that. I mean, we can pretty much create what we want to create. We don't want to make it too involved into, you know, how some websites, there's just so much stuff that you can never find anything because it's just too full of stuff. So let me find out what our restraints are on what we can do with that page. And maybe we create another page beyond the town site and just have another page that has all this other stuff on it. You know, I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. But
Would you ask him if we can put like a video on there? Because people love to
Yeah.
watch videos to be
Yeah.
told what's going on. And if we had like a bunch of educational videos, that could be a really, that could draw people there, especially if we change them up regularly.
Okay, sure, I'll check into that.
I love that idea. And what's going through my mind with all this is like the awkwardness of the group and the limitations we have from red tape. I see this now as like a very organic, evolving,
It is.
changing website. So at this point, can we as individuals like give stuff to you to put on it with suggestions how we would like it? And then
I really
are you the
think,
one that's gonna be putting stuff on the website?
we'll see about that. I'm not sure how Preston wants to do that, but I think that it should be, the group or and this is my thought, is that the board should approve, all of you should approve of what's going on there.
I agree.
That makes sense.
Because we don't want to put something on that somebody doesn't agree with. That's just, yeah. So I think we might need to have a process of saying, okay, maybe you could send what you want to put on to me and I can send it off to, because we can't do this group email thing, you're aware of that. So, you know, we have to do this in specific steps. And then if all is in agreement, then we can put it on. But we'll need to know where you want it, how it looks. So you all have to figure out, you know, what it is you want it to look like. So you could check out other municipalities, their websites, because when you guys first started out, I did a lot of research for Preston on sustainability committees and looked at a lot of different websites and you know, actual board websites, and they had a ton of information on them. But these were communities that had a lot of resources, a lot of staff to do all this stuff. Whole departments that were employees of the towns and cities, but doesn't mean we can't make a really very informative page. I mean, you know, it's just going to take some time. It's not something we can do in a week or 2 weeks. It's going to take some time. So,
I'm
Can-
guessing that,
Kenny,
none of us are web designers.
no, I'm not. Mm-mm.
So I'd like to propose that whoever does come up with the, you know, the web page or, you know, adding to our web page, that we get to look at like a beta version, so we can kind of.
And like I said, you know, we can just look at other municipalities and see what they've done. It doesn't have to be, you know, it can be very simple, but appealing. So, yeah, and I agree, Kenny, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, but we need to find some way to get it some sort of a look, and then let everybody agree that that's what they want.
So
That's just my,
it sounds like we have some general agreement on certain things that should be on the website right now. So, I mean, the town master plan maybe and strategic plan, although it would be nice to have a little text that points people to the specific area in the town master plan or strategic plan that pertains to what we're focused on, maybe.
just from being in local government for 10 years, I know that the master plan and the strategic plan, for someone to go in and look at that is not really just somebody who owns a house. It's very daunting. I would suggest more, and this is just totally up to you guys, is just put the sections that pertain to sustainability.
We can chop it up like that.
Chop it up, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, the strategic plan, what is your task in this year's strategic plan? You know, we know what that is. It's right there. And then any portion of the master plan that is related to the topics that you guys will be working on. Otherwise, it's just massive amounts of information that, you know, I personally would want to have to delve through.
How would that look? Like we would take screenshots of it? Or
No, we would be able to take that text off of the original documents and just insert them however you want to insert them, you know, in some sort of.
so we would highlight it and send it to you and you would
Now
extract it
that's
or?
the thing, I would take care of that. I would
Okay.
take care of the master plan and the strategic plan because I have access to those documents, the originals, so I can do that.
You can pull. This is
I
what
should be able to,
pertains.
yeah, and you know, you just need to think about how you want that to look, where you want it to be and stuff. So, you know, you guys are creating an informational page for the public. So we don't want it to be too daunting with a bunch of text that will get people lost, is my opinion.
We could do that also with the, the climate action plan should
Yes.
also be on there. I know some of us aren't completely satisfied with the way the town's wording is.
Well, I think if you look at the new one, I think you might be happier with that one.
Where's the new one?
I put it on the Google Drive, and I'm really referring more to what each town is doing. I listed it as the updated climate action plan.
Where
It's laid
is
back
it on the drive? I don't see it in here.
on the Google Drive, right on the bottom.
I don't see it.
Let
I
me.
see the bottom of mine says water. It's a folder that says,
We search and change it to show it by date.
okay, I'll figure it out.
So I agree, Angela, that would be a good thing to have on there because it specifies what the town of Ridgway wants to do as related to the climate action plan. Okay.
Could you send us a link to that, Deb, where you uploaded that? I'm just not able to find it here.
Okay, all right, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, I thought I really did have it on there. Maybe it didn't get on there after all. At this point, so this is our one item on the agenda. Where would you guys like to go with this right now? Do you want to try to see if we can?
I'd love to see if people want to volunteer to give us straw man, you know, educational, for instance, Angela, you mentioned the mission and goals. If you're not happy with what's out on the web page, could you draft something, a narrative that, you know, that we could look at next meeting to say, would this enhance our mission and goal statement? You know, I'd be willing to put together something on rebates and, you know, local, state, federal rebates and start a document that we could look at and say, yeah, or no, or what about, but, you know, just, I mean, it's a very frustrating process not being able to get together after this meeting and trying to work through Zoom and, you know,
Yeah.
but so it almost seems like we need to individually or in groups of two, you know, pick some topics, come up with some things to look at next meeting to say, you know, what do you think? You know, don't spend too much time on it. Don't get too invested in it. You know, but try to, you know, if we can each pick some areas to kind of work on, it seems like that might help push this forward.
Okay, well, when Angela's idea of educational videos for the website piqued my curiosity. I would be willing to do some research and try to find things like that we could, that I could share with you guys and see if anything is a good match for our website, our webpage.
Good.
Unless Angela wants to do that, I'm happy to do something different.
No, I'll do what Dave suggested, since it was the thought. I'm happy to.
Okay,
Kenny's got his hand up.
I'm
Kenny?
happy to
Oh, I'm
either
sorry.
do rebates or home electrification and just, you know, like heating, cooling, hot water, you know, induction stove. So if anybody wants to take one or the other, that's fine, but, you know.
It seems like Sampa's on the rebates pretty good.
Well, Sampa is, except one, we've got state and we got federal rebates, and two, Sampa is talking about changing their rebates based on what's coming down with state and federal. So it's not clear right now.
Okay, thanks for taking that one.
So,
Ken, did you have something?
Yeah, I'll volunteer to meet with Mike Gill and see what the building department has as far as what their plan is when this thing rolls out. I know that the permitting process pretty well, and so I'd like to get his input and see where he's at as far as getting the building community on board with this.
Okay, I do know that Eco Action, Kim was telling me today that they are going to start rolling out here fairly soon, after March, once they adopt the code there, training for all building officials and anyone else who wants to participate in training for these new codes. So that would be something that would be, I think, beneficial to have on this site as well, for those who are interested in learning what they need to do.
great. And Ken, I talked to Mike last month, and he told me that he would go ahead and order a copy of the code, the 2021 code. They didn't have one. I don't know if he's done that. He wasn't in his office this evening, but you know, he did say that he had the resources to order that.
He does, yes.
And I think it would be good to make sure that the town has that ordered, and then maybe you can take a look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably 800 pages, so
Oh, at least.
I'm glad you're retired.
it's a doorstop.
So I'll go ahead and pull together the summaries for the bills that that you guys want. So I'll get that together.
Okay.
And then maybe try to even summarize it a little more for in
Well, I
a
have
little
that,
simpler terms.
I have that summary. Did you get a copy of
Yeah.
the summary?
Mhm.
It has links. So you almost, if you use a summary, it's nice to have a link to the full bill so that
Right.
people have questions they can
Right,
click on.
right, yeah.
But
most of those summaries are pretty good. So hopefully those will be adequate, but
right.
we'll see once we look at them a little closer. So, well, that's progress.
Any
Yes.
other areas that people want to volunteer to look at, Angela?
I don't want to volunteer for anything else yet.
You're
I
in?
tackle this first one. But I think we should also have a link to Eco Action on our webpage and point people there for the all the projects and services they're providing to make our homes more efficient in the community. And some, if you qualify, is free, and if you don't qualify, it's still not expensive. But you know, that type of preparing your house to just be more efficient, especially in winter, is pretty critical. And we definitely want to highlight them as a partner in all this.
I agree, and they've got the green business program, and if we have links to the green business program, it might encourage local businesses to become green businesses, because then we'd have a list of who our local green businesses are.
Yes. And the other thing I want to, maybe we should talk about a little bit is it'll be a little hectic if our webpage and all these different topics don't have a similar look. Like if we have a bunch of videos here and then a bunch of PDFs and then a bunch of links to websites. So, and I guess we should think a little bit about, as we're diving in and starting to look for these resources that we want to share, like, do we want to have like a kind of a standard? I mean, we'll have headers for each section, but then is it okay to be free form? And, you know, maybe one section's all video and one section has a combination of video and PDFs. The look of a website can attract or deter people for sure.
And I think that's absolutely correct. I think that what I was saying earlier might be very helpful is to look at other municipalities who have sustainability boards, because there are a bunch of them out there. And like I said, some of them are great and easy to get around, and some of them are so complicated that it's confusing. So, and what I did when I did some research for this board before it was formed was just really just Google sustainability boards in Colorado.
So
And
would you be willing to send us your favorite 3?
what I'll do is I'll send you the websites that I found were the most
Your top 3.
informational, and then you guys could look at those and see if anything like that appeals to you.
I'd
Is that
also,
okay with everyone?
that'd be great. I'd also done a search like that. So after you do that, I might add a few.
Okay.
Don't reply, but I might add a few to that.
Yeah.
That people can look at if I looked at some different ones.
Yeah. Okay.
Good.
And I'm wondering if me or you, I don't know, the red tape thing, should reach out to Joyce and JT and let them know all
I
these
will
things.
absolutely do that.
You am, okay.
Yeah,
You'll do that?
so what I will do is, I'll get a hold of JT. I'm not sure when he's scheduled to be back. And I know he's very remote and he's not gonna have any access to anything until Monday, but I'm gonna send him an email, probably tomorrow, and just get with the points of what we went over today, so that he can also start thinking about what,
And Joyce as well.
yeah, both of them. Plus they'll have the Zoom video that they can listen to as well. So yeah, I'll let them know what you guys are looking at and who's doing what, and see if maybe they want to put their hand up to volunteer to do something.
So I have a question. Maybe it's an end around, but let's say I'm working on a rebate thing, all right? And I am the rebate committee, all right? If I send it to Vicky and said, Vicky, can you give me your thoughts on that? She sent it back, gave me her thoughts. Could I turn around and then send it to Ken? And because it's just the 2 of us each
No, but
time.
you two can do it yourself,
But I can't.
but you can't then include,
I can't close the discussion and then ask somebody else.
as long as she's not copied on it, as
Right.
long as as long as it's 2 separate emails, not a continuous.
So it can have my input.
Right,
Second one?
so she could give me your input, I incorporate it, and then I turn around
I
and
believe that's fine.
send
Yeah,
it to
as long
Ken,
as
because
you
it'll just
guys
be
are
the 2
not,
of us.
the 3 of you are not communicating on the same email,
Right, okay.
okay? So
that
2
would-
is fine, but 3 is, then you've got a meeting, and then
Right,
we could.
because that would seem to be a way to potentially, I want to say get around,
Yeah.
but you know, if Angela, if you had some thoughts and you wanted to send them to somebody, get some feedback, and then incorporate that and send them to somebody else, then by the time we get
Just,
together
you
next
just have,
meeting.
yeah, you just be careful with how many people
Only
you.
only
include.
two,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and I'm sorry, it's just, it's just the rules that we have to follow.
Yeah,
Because the, open meeting laws, people don't want meetings to happen when they can't be included if it's more than
right,
three or more
right.
of a board.
But yeah, I think it'd be nice to be able to share it before the meeting, just,
Agree, so,
yeah,
yeah.
and we can do
That's
it
a great idea.
one-on-one, and then one-on-one, and one-on-one.
And same things with getting together, if you want to get together, two of you can get together and two others can get together, whatever you want, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so. So does anybody have, Dana, do you have any input, anything that you want to add?
Nope, I don't.
Okay. Is everyone?
Anything you want to volunteer for, Dana?
I'll figure it out.
Does anybody have any questions or do we want to go over anything further? Do you feel like that we've, got some momentum here?
I have a question just from the last meeting or even 2 meetings past. If I remember correctly, JT was going to just take a note to the town council about our recommendation for trying to get to net zero. Am I remembering that correctly?
Dana, I apologize because I was not at that and I don't know the answer to that, but I can sure find out for you.
Okay,
Well, he's like considered the liaison, I think, between
Right.
us and the town council. But I also would feel like for transparency, it'd be nice for us to know what he's presenting to them.
I agree.
So what, so just so you know how it works, I believe it's every meeting, the mayor will ask each committee liaison to give an update of what the committee's doing or the board is doing. Any recommendations would go through Preston. Preston would put something together on the agenda and it would be on the agenda. If it's being presented to council for a specific request or suggestion or whatever the case is, it would go on the agenda and be presented that way.
But I guess this is a request that our liaison give us a brief summary of what he presents at each meeting.
Okay, of what he's going to update as far as what the, okay.
It would seem, rather than him providing with the summary what he's gonna present,
Yeah, sorry.
that it seems like the best process would be for him to provide us a summary of what he wants to present before he presents it. So we're all in alignment with that. I don't know. Does that make sense to you all?
Totally agree.
Yeah, and that seems to be something that you would do at the end of a meeting.
Yeah.
He can say, here's what I'm going to present.
Yeah.
And we can give a thumbs up or
Yeah,
thumbs
because
down.
it will be the week before the actual council meeting. The
Correct.
meetings are.
Yeah.
Maybe we can put that on our regular agenda as an agenda item at the end of the meeting.
Excellent.
Should we make a motion for that? Is that how that works?
No, let me talk with Preston on this and see exactly how this would work. And we don't, it's not, I'm not sure that it would need a motion, but it sounds like everyone is in agreement that this is what they'd like to see JT present to you guys at each meeting.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's like that on. the
Yes.
agenda? Am I getting?
Yeah, and I don't think that there's any like distrust of what JT's doing. I think it's just a good process that we know what is being shared with
Sure.
town council.
Okay, sure. And then I will reach out to each of you and let you know when I talk with Preston. And I'm sure I'll be talking with him tomorrow or the next day. So, yeah. I'm just not really familiar with that,
I don't
how he
think that-
wants that,
yeah, I don't
that
think it'll be a
process
problem.
done. So, yeah,
How long are those liaison summaries? Usually like a minute or two?
yeah. It depends on whether they had, a lot of things on the agenda for the meeting that they're reporting on, or what's going on with the board or the committee. So it really depends. I mean, some of it's short and some of it's not short. Yeah.
This-
So go ahead, Dana. Sorry.
This is probably super obvious, but it would also be nice to put in what you're saying about JT expressing what he's going to say for us to hear what came back from the council as after he presents it. So he gives us a little, synopsis of what the council says to our presentation.
Okay. And these updates are really just an update of what the board is doing. Again, it's not a recommendation, asking for a recommendation that would go through Preston as a actual item on the agenda.
And I don't think the council really comments on updates.
They don't really comment on updates, but if they do, so you're asking that that you guys are informed of what those responses were?
Is there any
Okay.
way, this is probably too much of an ask, but is there a way of knowing when the council or, any of these meetings might be discussing any sustainability issues that would have a discussion that would be open to people in this committee? Because
It would be an agenda item, and is that what you're asking? And-
well, it seems like there are sometimes issues that come up that might pertain to sustainability on the monthly meetings or whatever. Sitting through the whole monthly meeting might not be what we want to do, but if we could be informed that.
Yeah, and I could almost guarantee you that Preston, any issues that were brought up, or questions, he would suggest that it goes through this board. Because that is what you're tasked with doing.
Okay.
So instead of trying to figure something out at a council meeting, typically what happens is he would say, let me take that to the board and let them look into it. So I don't see in all the council meetings I've been in over the years, I haven't really seen where when there's a committee that's for specific things, that they actually start working on things outside that committee. Did that make sense? But I will address that with Preston as well and just confirm that. Is that okay? Satisfactory? Okay.
Thanks.
Sure. Thanks, Dana. Okay, does anybody have anything else on this topic? See no hands up. Okay.
Well, just one,
Sure.
might be a time saver, just throw out to anybody. Angela seems really knowledgeable about this, but like time length on my project, the videos, like for me, if I'm looking at YouTube, if it's more than 15 minutes, I don't even start looking at it. So is there like as a group, is there like a general time frame that you think educational videos are most watchable?
3 minutes.
Yeah, short and sweet is good.
Okay, all right.
5 max.
But you can again forward them to somebody else in the committee and say, hey, what do you think about this?
This is more than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good start.
Okay, well, it sounds like we don't have anything left on this discussion item. Do you want to approve the minutes? Or make a motion?
Wording here.
Sure, I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second,
Dave and Ken, okay. And so I'm going to take a roll call vote. So Angela,
Yes.
okay. Ken, you seconded. So Dana,
Yes.
and then Vicky, yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
If there's no further business, would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting of the Ridgway Sustainability Advisory Board?
Like, is there any further business? Is there?
Is there
Is there anything
anything
else you guys would like to talk about tonight?
Wow, we still have.
No.
Minutes.
Move to adjourn.
Okay,
In favor.
all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. All right,
Thanks, Vicky and Deb.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you, Dave, Vicky and Deb, and
Thank-
Kenny
thank you, guys.
and Angela.
Thanks for being there.
and,
Thanks, everybody. Thanks,
Thank
Deb. Good
you.
job.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll talk to you later. Let me know if you guys need anything, and thanks for volunteering for your little task. That's great.
Yay.
All
Yes,
right,
good.
all right, good
Take care.
night.
Hi.
Good night.
Stop share. Yeah, I'm a newbie to this thing. Let's see here. Let's make sure I can show this. off.
Doing